I think the major thing that bothers me the most about seeing so many people go quiet during this time in the United States is that it's their problem. We wouldn't have these problems if your ancestors didn't come over here and start those problems. Those borders wouldn't be real. Because we didn't make those borders, you did. And so seeing some people be silent, and I know it's not all white people, it's not all Europeans, but my God, it's way too many. It's way too many being quiet that I know, whether I know them in real life or not, whether I see it on social media. Like, how are y'all just existing and knowing that more crimes against humanity are happening under the banner of whiteness and being a descendant from Europe on these lands in the Americas? Like, you're the invaders. The very least you could do is say something. Like, please. But just seeing these people live their life without giving a shit is honestly really, really, really embarrassing. Embarrassing. Because I do know some people who have been, at least trying to share information, trying to help where they can. I get that. But seeing the people who don't, who are acting as if nothing is happening, that's crazy. Europeans are at fault. Because they're the ones who came over here to the Americas, set up this whole border system, allowed all of the ones that looked like them in, okay? They're the ones that created racism. They invaded and harmed a lot of people, okay? They committed crimes against humanity. Then later in the 1930s and 40s, they continued to do that, but like doing it to themselves at that point. But then at the same time, it's also just thinking like, for example, I took a class in college about pagans in Europe. They were doing that against themselves. They were doing that against their own neighbors, guys. They burned down entire libraries, entire tribal cultures in Europe that were pagan, just so that they can have their religion of sorts happen. They appropriated all of the stuff. Then when they stopped doing it there, because they pretty much converted as many people as possible by force, they go over to other places and do the same thing. And then, the 1930s and 40s happen, and people want to say, oh, but it's not Europe's fault. It is! It is. These are sins that were born in Europe and exported everywhere else. Just ask every single country that has been touched by the British Empire or the Spanish Empire. Ask every single country that shouldn't have any sense of the French language in there. Or Dutch. Like, there's so many different things that I can say here, but that's at the end of the day, that's exactly what it is. And so seeing the descendants of the people who either benefited off of the crimes against humanity or actually committed those crimes, be able to succeed, live life, and not give a shit, not even care about showing any of this. Like, this is your thing to do. This is your problem to solve. This is from you. And it is, at the end of the day, from Europe. It's from Europe, because anytime I see an American, a U.S. American, by the way, that is like, oh, where are you really from to me, or any other Latin person or anybody who is like native to the Americas, it's crazy. It's crazy to watch, because guess what? You're a European American. I mean, look, I cannot help but be colonized. Okay? I was born, several people were born before me that they could not help but be colonized because they were born to essentially a mixture of native and Spaniard colonizer blood. Because that's how forced colonization and conversion works. Why do you think majority of Latin America speaks Spanish? Those aren't our natural languages. That is a direct result of colonization from Europe. That shows that's Europe. That's Europe that needs to solve that problem. I can't help but be colonized just straight up from being alive, okay? But the fact that I have native ancestry is essentially what keeps me somewhat native, according to one-drop rules, according to blood quantum, according to all these colonial rules. I am still native. So there you go. And then even without, I would consider myself still somewhat native, because I can't help that some ancestors before me decided to convert because they were somewhat forced to, out of safety and to stay alive. But at the end of the day, this is Europe's fault. This is their sins to actually solve, their problems to solve. Their sins to be held accountable for, their burden. And I don't mean just Europe, I mean like every descendant, especially the ones that are not mixed with anything. I mean, why do you think I actually give a shit about trying to share information and trying to go against the status quo of what has been somewhat forced on us by capitalists and colonialists? Why do you think I'm the way that I am, that I try to share, I try to talk about these things? I can't even live without talking about this. I would like to stop. But I need other people, especially the ones who are direct beneficiaries, who don't have anything to worry about and are living completely anxiety-free right now, of all times in the United States, acting as if they don't see what's going on in front of them. It's your job. It's your job to solve this problem. It's your job. You got us here. Your ancestors got us here. You benefit. And now it's your responsibility to be held accountable to get the consequences of your ancestors' actions. And now that doesn't mean that you have to have any of the punishments. I'm just saying consequences. You have to understand. You have to hold yourself accountable. You have to go there and fight against the bad shit that we are all going to have to be subjected to as a planet, by the way. As a planet, because it's not just the United States. This is affecting everybody. So, like, go and do something, please. Like, it should not be resting on Black and brown communities. It should not be resting on those of us who are actually trying to, that don't even, benefit the same way. Okay? Like, it should be on, Europeans and the descendants of Europeans. Specifically, those who are majority descendant from Europe, even though they were born in a different country, i.e. European Americans. Like, fully European Americans. I mean those who take DNA tests and are like, guys, look, I'm from Germany, look, I'm Scandinavian, look, and then they turn around and say, well, where are you really from, to people like me? Girl, I'm American, straight up. Not even just because I was born in the United States, but also because I'm Latin American, as in South American, as in Native. Because American. It's the Americas. I'm American, straight up. Part of my ancestry has been always here. You're the invader. You're the immigrant. Now, please turn around and start helping to get rid of the hatred that you benefit from. Hold yourselves accountable, please. Look at the consequences of the actions that you benefit from and start fighting. This should not be up to those of us who actually give a shit, who are already gonna have to deal with it anyway. This should be on the people who are European and descendants of Europeans, as in European Americans. If you are white, you better be fucking saying something. Sorry. I'm brown. I'm saying stuff. It's resting on all of us Black and brown people. Like, do something, please. Put yourself in the front. Go. Jeez. Ugh.